guys, I'm RK, and I am the host of the Adult Play Therapy Podcast Show. I thank you guys for being with me today. I am excited. I'm excited because today's Saturday. I'm excited to make it through another week. I don't know about you guys. I don't know if it was a full moon or what was going on, but this was quite an exuberant week, and I am very, very glad to make it to Saturday. Hi, Super Ruby Liz. Thank you so much for joining. Hi, Coach Play with an I and not a Y. That's my husband. I thank you so much for participating and joining. As many of you know, he's a personal trainer. You can always book his services online, virtual, or in person. Go to his page. Hi, how are you? Tanya Hardy.12, Tanya.Hardy.12, and hello, 16th Avenue. Thank you so much for joining. Guys, I would like to share an introduction before I have 16th Avenue join us today. I'm so excited for our conversation, and I hope that you guys are too. 16th Avenue. She also has another page called The Boys of 16th Avenue. In case some of you guys are subscribed to that page as well, then you know about both of them, right? And if you don't, you need to get on both of them. Okay, you need to join both those pages. 16th Avenue is an extraordinary storyteller, astounding writer, phenomenal creative thinker, incredible dial customizer and seamstress, outstanding architect of dioramas, and also interior decorating. She's an amazing crafter and beautiful friend. Her stellar account entered my life in 2020 and left a lasting imprint on my heart. I was blown away by the breathtaking photos of her dial cast and her dioramas. But it was the genuine, authentic, and sincere love that she has for her characters and her storyline, especially Luke and Laura, that really drew me in. This type of loving energy oozed from her characters to her storylines, forging a deep emotional attachment between me, her other audience members, and the characters of her storylines. It is my personal pleasure and honor to present someone that is not only a dear doll collector friend of mine, but also someone that I call a sister. So guys, I am going to dial her in right having with her. Hi, Super Ruby Liz again. Sometimes the waves come in and sometimes they don't, so I'm going to send you a personal wave. Hello!
Hey!
How are you? Let me back
good.
up a little. You look excellent. I'm so glad that you're joining me. How has your day been?
It's been good, actually. It's been good. It was very productive.
Good.
So that felt good.
Good. I'm still trying to get this camera to angle right. Once when we join in, the camera re-angles itself. It does like a whole new focus.
Yeah. I gotta smooth.
I tell you.
Hi, Robin.
Yeah. Hello.
No, Bailey, go over there.
To everyone that's joining.
The dog, as soon as they open the door.
Oh, yeah. Kids and dogs, they want to join in. All the time. This is their time. Well, you look great, and I'm so glad that you're joining me today. So I do have a few questions.
Okay.
Were you always a Barbie girl when you were a kid?
Yes, I was.
You were.
I recall playing very elaborate stories with my sister. We could play for weeks. Yeah, Barbie has always been my favorite doll.
Oh wow!
Barbie
Did you have any dolls that you enjoyed like you do with Luke?
Yes, I did.
When you were younger,
you did. Power couple back then, as well. That was Western Stamping Ken and Hollywood Hair Teresa.
Oh yes, that was a beautiful doll. Yeah. That was a beautiful doll.
So yeah, those were our favorite, or it was my favorite, I guess. But yeah, and I still have them. I still have them. They're like pretty much what I have left from childhood.
Oh, I don't even want to get into that. I've shared with you about what happened with my dolls. The little ones I did have left, the mice came into the attic space and got two. So if you have anything left, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a very good thing. Did you play or, like interact and play with your dolls throughout childhood and then, teenage years and being an adult, or did you get back into it when you became an adult?
I kind of dabbled a little. I was probably 12 or 13 by the time my sister was like, didn't want to play anymore, because she would have been about 10 or so.
Okay.
And
wow.
wasn't, so I was still into it, but she wasn't. And so I remember still going down the Barbie aisle as a teenager and looking at the dolls. There were a few dolls that I purchased, like when they came out with the jointed, those Barbies that had the corduroy overalls. I bought the Teresa doll because I was like, oh my gosh, she's so cute. So I bought her. And then it kind of fizzled out a little because I got busy after high school and I got a job and I started collecting other toys. I collected Batman toys and stuff like that. And then when I moved in with my husband, the Happy Family dolls came out, and I got into those because the news was making a big deal about it. So he bought me the just the Midge and Alan. So I had those, and I had, I think, a couple play sets. And then I had my own family, and I didn't play with dolls anymore. I actually started building them a dollhouse, but then I had kids and I didn't have time for it, and I scrapped that. And then when my daughter started getting into the dolls is when I started getting into it again. So she was about 3, and it kind of just snowballed there, where we would find dolls secondhand, and I built her a little dollhouse with the one I had started on. So she had a little dollhouse it wasn't the greatest, but it was something, and she played with that for a while, but it took up so much space that we had to get rid of it because we needed more room for her and her brother because they shared a space. And let's see. So we were in that really small house, and all my doll stuff was like in the laundry room area. And at that point, I really wasn't like doll story stuff. I was trying to I was into like repainting Barbie furniture and stuff like that. And I sold a few sets on eBay and stuff like that. And I was just trying to make my own Barbie furniture because as a child, that's what I remember my mom doing. And she had built us a huge dollhouse and built some furniture for it. And we had a few pieces of Barbie furniture, but most of it was all handmade. My grandfather made Barbie beds for us. And I still have the wardrobe she made out of an old jewelry box. So I still have that.
Wow.
And the couch she made for the dollhouse, this couch is modeled after this one here that she had made.
Oh, wow.
But this is not it, but
nice.
I modeled it after that. And so that's what I did early on when my daughter was real little. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then
so
once we moved to here, it changed.
It just kind of exploded.
Yeah, that's when I found Flickr. That's when I found Flickr, and I found all the actual adults who still played with dolls. And I was like, oh, I'm not a weirdo. I was like, there's other people like me. So.
Exactly. So it went from like the laundry room to its own studio, its own room itself. It happens very easy.
Yeah. And I even took pictures of my dolls as a kid too.
Oh, wow. I wish I would have did that more.
Yeah.
That is good.
I had a little 35mm camera that I got for Christmas.
What camera do you use now? Do you use your phone or do you use an actual camera?
For quick photos, I use my phone, but I use a DSLR. For
okay.
the vlog.
Okay, because that's always like one of the questions is like, how do I get started? For some people, do I have to use my phone or do I have to use a camera and then download it into the computer?
Camera phones were no good.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
It was almost like when we first were using the camera, it was just like a secondary thing. Like, oh yeah, there goes the camera. But
Yeah.
now there's a lot of attention and focus on the camera that's in the phone, so you get
Yeah.
better quality
Yeah.
than when it first
You
started. So
can.
I
But
fully
I still
understand that.
prefer the DSLR because I can control the focus where
Okay.
I want the focus to be, as opposed to with a you can kind of do it with your cell phone, but I just get more fine tuning with the DSLR.
That's true. That is so very true because you
Yeah.
kind of get a chance to, like wind it and get it
Hmm.
to focus on what you want and have the bokeh where you really do desire for it to
Yeah.
be compared to with your phone.
Yeah.
It kind of adjusts its own, adjusts, but it adjusts on its own without really allowing you to be more
Yeah. If you
manual.
barely move
So,
the phone, it'll be like whoop, and then you've lost your
yes,
focus. So
very, very true.
yeah.
Had that happen. But I fully understand that. Where
Yeah.
did you
Yeah.
get the name for your account?
Um, I just kind of thought that I needed a name that would encompass like everything about dolls for me. So, so I just figured a street name would be fun because like soap operas usually have stuff like that, and
Yeah.
so that's why I thought it would be fun because it's just kind of like it's like a one stop for everything that I like to do because I feel like dolls gives me that ability to dabble in all these different creative
For
outlets.
sure.
So that was mainly the
Yes.
reason why. Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, and I feel like you answered part of it. I wanted to ask you, where did you get this talent for building and creating? And then you mentioned your mom, and then you mentioned your grandfather. So did your mom and your grandfather spend time teaching you how to build and create the furniture, or was that just you watching them and learning that?
No, they didn't teach me furniture building. My grandfather was a cabinet maker and a wood like he made children's furniture like stuff. Used to have an
Wow.
old baby doll crib and stuff like that. Um, but he never really taught me anything. I did learn some crafting from my mom, um, but I would say that art runs really strong on both sides of my family. So
Wow.
I have uncles on my father's side who are very, very creative. Um, and then my mom and my dad both are. My dad's
Wow.
always, building stuff and things like that. So I don't
So
know. I
you
think it
did
was just something that
not go
came
to school
naturally.
for building,
I
or
didn't.
did you go to school for building?
I didn't go to school for any of this. No,
This is
no.
literally a God-given gift and talent that you have. I mean, it is phenomenal. I mean, someone just made a comment about your building. It is phenomenal. You're so very detailed, and each one of your dioramas looks different. So when you're creating a diorama, are you envisioning it like the night before? Or do you see
I usually have
something like on a soap opera and you go, that's what I'm going to build next?
I usually have a general idea of what I want, but a lot of times my stuff is just winging it. I don't really have a plan actually. I might have a generalized idea in my head, but um yeah, it's not like I'm super organized drawing like a detailed floor plan or anything like that. Mm-mm. No,
Oh, wow.
no. And
Yeah.
if you go back in everything I've done, you could see how much, I learned over the years. Like I started out with foam core, cardboard, stuff like that, building walls. But down here in South Texas, the heat is bad and everything warps. So I had to figure out ways to build that were going to be more permanent and would hold up to the weather. So I had a friend who told me to get the big sheets of masonite board at the hardware store, and
Yes.
that's what I use now to build. But um, it's just been trial and error, learning what works for me and learning what I like, and and being a stickler about scale. I would say
Yes.
that is a big deal for me. Like if something's not in scale, I usually will not use it, or um, Barbie
I
furniture,
get that.
definitely. I hardly use it now. I used to use it a lot, but I still have some pieces that are Barbie furniture, but most of it's, not.
I know. Some of our Barbie furniture and vehicles are not up to scale at all. It's not. It's not. And you really don't get the realistic colors, and you kind of have to, either be okay with that or have the time to be able to repaint it.
Right.
So I totally get that. Now, when we were growing up, we did get different colors. It wasn't just pink, purple, and
better
orange.
Scale too.
Yes.
Yeah.
It really was. So things
really
have definitely changed.
Yeah.
It has changed. And when it comes to like your miniatures, are you also building those too?
Not
or creating those?
A lot of stuff has been stuff that I've found. I mean, I have, like I said, I've been collecting junk for probably not 20 years now, but close to 20 years. Since my daughter was born. So yeah. I mean,
and you thrift, because I've seen some of your vlogs, and you'll talk about like whenever you go thrifting, and you're like, I will not pay over this amount. If anything, you help me.
Yeah.
But recognizing that you can be overspending.
Nothing like there's a little piece I found here a while back, because it's all metal. Nice. It's pewter, and I had to pay $4 for it, but I figured since it was metal, it was worth it. But I don't find as much now because the thrift stores are getting more pricey. But I would say about 10 years ago, I was just buying like crazy, whatever I thought would work. That's how I stocked up on a lot of stuff. Thrift stores, flea markets, stuff like that. Yeah.
And so you're finding something there, like a jewelry box, and then you're saying this would make a good coffee table.
Something like that, yeah.
So I say that because, sometimes, I guess because, like we're adults now, and so at times it can be kind of hard to think creatively because we're so stressed with having to be serious and responsibilities. Yeah. And so we're looking at a miniature to have to be exactly that it has to look like a coffee table versus being able to really get, allow yourself to get out of the box and reimagine what items can be. Because I've seen a lot of different items that you have that you reimagine.
Yeah, I think I flipped so much that my brain is always thinking, oh, is that going to work for Barbie? It's always in that mode now, almost always. Especially if I'm looking at like, little knickknacks and things like that. So.
Yes. Yeah. I like that. You're always aligned, and it shows. It shows in your details and in your dioramas and in your interior decorating. Now, when we talk about interior decorating and being a seamstress, where did these interests come from? Were you doing that young as well?
I learned to sew young. My mom was a pretty talented seamstress. She used to sew clothes for us, and she would sew clothes and make money back in the 80s doing that because it was a pretty lucrative business back then, with clothes being more expensive. Like fast fashion wasn't as a thing back then. So she taught me basics and taught me how to use a sewing machine. And I learned sewing in Girl Scouts. But when it came to sewing and pattern making for the dolls, that was a lot of trial and error, teaching myself, watching videos, watching people make human-sized things and understanding how it's put together, stuff like that. Wow. For me, when I'm determined to make something, if I can't afford to buy it or if I can't find it, I'm determined to try to find a way to make it.
Yes. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. And what I also get out of it, for any of us who are looking into, sewing our own clothes, is studying, researching it on your own, and allowing yourself to fit it to scale. Because I think sometimes we get intimidated and we're like, oh, I can't do that. I'll never know how to do that. Yeah. And you're saying, hey, I didn't start off knowing this and I didn't go to school for it, but I taught myself. And your work is amazing. Anytime whenever I see your guys wearing, because really, when it comes to like the menswear for our kids, it's pretty darn bad. Yeah. It's pretty darn bad. And if you do find a suit that fits them, or a pair of pants or a shirt, it costs a lot. It really does. Yeah. It's not always made to the best.
Yeah, it is true. I mean,
so when I see your men, I'm like,
figures, the action bigger clothes, but it's expensive. But yet again, you're going to pay that much money for someone who makes quality doll clothes too.
Very, very good. But at least it's quality.
Yeah.
You know, your stuff is quality. When I see a lot of our other doll designers on here is quality. My mom was a seamstress as well, so when it's quality, I'm like, pay for it. But when it's not quality, it's like you're just paying for the brander because you can't really find anything else. And so I love that about the clothes that you have. I can always tell whenever you have fashions on your kin that you created or with your girls that you created. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Quality is so important.
Yeah.
It is so very important.
But
Did you write when you were younger as well? And finish off what you were saying.
Well, I was just going to say, for years, Luke didn't have a lot of good clothes to wear until I finally learned to sew. He wore the same outfit for a very long time.
But he has this grunge vibe, so he could have easily have had the same outfit in the closet, and we wouldn't have known. You know, like
yeah.
He does. He has his own vibe, so it still worked. It still worked.
Yeah.
But I love that. Now you started. When did you start your Flickr account? Was that 2017? I think I heard you say 2017 on one of your.
It was.
No. Okay.
No.
It was.
I originally opened a Flickr account because when I used to list stuff on Craigslist back in the day, I learned how to do HTML code so I could embed more photos into my listing on Craigslist. And so I had to use a Flickr account to put those photos on and everything. So that's why I had Flickr. And then one day I was like, I wonder if there's any Barbie photos on here. And so I Googled it, and that's when I found, or I looked it up in the search there on Flickr, and that's where I found a bunch of people, and that was back in 2009.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. I didn't know that. I thought I heard 2017 in like a pretty, not in a pretty, but in a previous.
2017, no, I think 2014
I don't know why.
Is when I jumped on Instagram.
Okay.
There. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Oh, wow. I love that. I love that. That is awesome. And so during that time in 2004, you're saying you didn't know how to do the sewing on a level that you do now. You weren't building on a level you are now.
No.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm being inspired. Like literally, you're encouraging me as far as just being patient and practicing.
Days, playing dolls while the kids were at school and hubby was at work. So I had about a good 4 to 6 hours in my day to just hone in on something until kids were coming home and had to make dinner. So
I like that though. I do because. Like I said, there are so many different people, and I'm sure you've read it too in people's captions, and they're like, I don't know how to do this, or I wish that I was really creative, but this is what I have right here. And just them putting it out there and posting is creative. And so I'm hoping that, just like with me, I'm being inspired because I'm remembering once again, like, hey, maybe I'm not able to put that wall up like that just yet, but if I keep practicing, then it can become what I'm envisioning. And so I love that. I love that you are showing us how to be patient.
I think what helped me too was having a lot of the basics already down. Like my dad taught me how to use power tools. My mom taught me sewing and, being creative. I did a lot of art things as a kid. So I had basics down for understanding. Like when I was a kid, my dad was in the ceramic tile business. So we had lots of extra tile laying around. And I would paint scenes on the tiles and everything like that. So, it's just, I've always had the creative outlet in some way.
Yes. And we need it. We need it. You have to be able to get that out in some way. And for you, you're covering a lot of different bases with your creativity. And that's awesome, though, because you don't want to just keep that bottled up. And like I said, and it inspires other people. And I see your work and I see how detailed that it is. It's so motivating to me. If I'm doing something that's in, that needs to get done, it could be with dinner even, but I just may not feel like cooking dinner. But I go to a Luke and Laura story feel a little bit more energized to go ahead and do what I need to go ahead and get done because I got that dose of creativity that I needed. So, and, and you do feel, like I had expressed
Hmm.
earlier, you really do feel the love that you have for your characters.
Oh
What
yeah.
brought on this passion that you have with Luke and with Laura?
Um, Getting Luke was like knocking me back to childhood. It was like
Mm.
Justin and Teresa 2.0, you know? That's what it was, basically. And so it was just like I was in awe so much. Like I was in love with those dolls as a kid, you know. Justin, I mostly played Justin, the male doll, because a I've always loved Ken. So um yeah, that's what it was. When I got Luke, I remember people were posting pictures of Captain Jack on Flickr, and I was like, what is this doll? I was like, what the heck? I was like, they made a Captain Jack doll? I was like, oh my God. And I told my husband, I need to go to Toys R Us. And so I had to drive across town because we didn't have one near us. And luckily Toys R Us had the BOGO. So I got him and Angelica, and I came back home with him
Oh.
and I unboxed him, and that was it. I was just like, I never I never needed a second doll, like doubles before,
Mm-hmm.
until I got Luke. And I told my husband that same week. I was like, I gotta go back and get another one. I was like, I gotta have two of these. So,
And
um,
I love what you've done with your dolls. And it has inspired me. Once again, I don't know if there's something that I'll be able to do with any of my dolls, but one day I hope to do it. You have aged your dolls up and also aged them down. Where did that idea come from? It's so ingenious.
I never, um, I never thought I would like that idea when I first started out with Luke and Laura. Like, I wasn't even sure if I wanted them to have kids. I wasn't sure if I wanted them to stay together. I, I was just so in love with their characters, and it was, um, at that point, that never came across my mind. And then it started happening when I started writing the current series because, um, I was trying to figure out ways of like really changing up this storyline because I had
Mm,
a basic idea of what it was going to be, but I really wanted it to go deeper. And so I had customized that Tate doll, the redheaded Tate,
mm-hmm,
into Phoenix,
mm-hmm.
but I hadn't told anyone yet because I didn't want to reveal that it was Phoenix. But because he looked to me like a blend so much of Luke and Laura, I was like,
He does.
okay. So that's kind of where it jump started and gave me the idea to do the storyline and to elaborate because for a while I was really stuck with how I was going to write the story and continue to explain like the situation between Luke and his father and Rufus and everything. And I hadn't quite come up with how I was going to do that until I customized the older Phoenix. So
I'm glad you said that about being stuck. The last 2 or 3 conversations I've had, we spoke about whenever you get stuck or you have writer's block or what was the other one? Or if you come to like a place of being burnt out, how do
mhm.
you handle that and what advice would you give? So with
Sometimes,
you saying that you
yeah,
were kind of stuck, what
yeah.
advice would you give?
Well, it depends on what it is. Um, Usually, if it's like writer's block, I try to just step away for a while. Um, if it's burnout, then I try to really step away from everything that's doll related. But if it's just writer's block, then I try to step away, maybe just play with the dolls, do something else, do something that's going to give me fresh ideas, fresh thoughts. A lot of times when the kids were younger, we had to travel a distance to take them to school. Listening and driving and listening to music really
Mm,
would churn my brain. Um,
that's a good
you
one.
know, Also dusting, cleaning dioramas. Like right now, right before we got on, like a couple hours ago, I decided to start dusting a shelf here.
Okay.
And I started getting ideas immediately. I started
Oh, wow.
like the dolls pop in my head.
Yes.
You know, like an image of them, and immediately I start hearing like their conversation.
Oh, that was going to be one of my questions. Keep going.
Yeah. So I have new ideas in my head now for something. So now I have to act out on it.
And you're not going to tell us.
Usually,
do not. No. I'm like, do not tell us. Like, I want to be surprised.
What dolls, what shelf, but it's, yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, I forgot.
I'm sorry. This is when you said it. I got so excited. But nonetheless, so we were talking about ways in which you can kind of, yeah.
I remember now. Yeah, it was related to that. A lot of times for me, like cleaning, building a new diorama, cleaning, rearranging, thinking about the dolls who like live in that scene or hang out in that scene. I'll start envisioning like, you know, scenarios and stuff like that.
Yes.
Conversations pop up in my head, stuff like that. Sometimes they pop up so quickly I don't have time to write them down, or when I try to do, like, I'm really bad at doing voice memos, so as soon as I like throw in the voice memo, I'm like, you know, so then I forget, and it's like, dang it, that was really good, and I forgot it. That's really frustrating.
Yes, so. I know. I get that. Yeah. I get that. Mine is at night. Like, I'll get an idea at night. I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, sometimes.
Especially like when I finally found. Yes. Yes, I finally found that really good spot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You start thinking about something and it pops in your head. Yeah, that used to happen to me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you're back up, writing down notes, and then trying to get back to sleep, and then there's times I'm just like, I don't want to get up. I hope I remember in the morning. I don't.
Usually,
that one stinks.
Years ago, I used to remember things really well, but my stories back then were not as elaborate, and I didn't always have conversations with, like, Luke and Laura would not always be yapping in my head, you know? It took me a while before their characters became so real to me that I could easily have conversations between them just in my thoughts.
Yes.
So, I wasn't really good at taking notes back then. So now I'm not in the habit. So as soon as I remember something, I'm like, you know, I got to remember this, and then I forget it. So
now, how does that work for you with your blog? Well, she does have a blog. You got to get on her blog if you haven't already, which I imagine many of us are already on her blog, right? All right, it's on the underscore boys underscore of underscore, right?
16th Avenue.
The Boys of 16th Avenue.
Yeah, that's the Instagram.
On Instagram.
For the blog.
Yes, and it's in the bio. It's like smart bio. Yeah. I can't remember the rest of it.
Yeah.
But right there's a link, and that's where you would go ahead and click, and you're in for a treat.
I can't put a direct link to my blog anymore because Instagram decided to flag it as spam. So Facebook.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram, I cannot do direct links to my blog.
Okay.
That's why I have the link like that.
Okay.
So it's linked for Patreon and other stuff.
But, it's amazing. Yeah. It is amazing. So when it comes to your blog, how are you able to write for your blog? Are you writing down notes for that, or is it just coming to you then?
I never write notes, ever. Never.
What?
Mm-mm.
What?
No.
It's amazing.
Like I said, I am so bad about stopping to write notes. so now that...
Why does it take you to write your blog then? Like just one episode of your blog?
Well, back when I started, maybe take me, you know, a couple hours to a couple days, depending on how much photos I took and, you know, how big the episode is. But now, I mean, it could take me a month or two, depending on.
Oh, wow.
Because my writing has gotten more, you know, in depth. My episodes are longer. I always feel like I have more I have to say. So it's changed. So yeah, it takes me longer now. But
And see, yeah. No, keep going.
yeah, I think that's all I
Well,
got.
when you were saying about Luke and Laura yapping in your head, I literally had the vision of, I don't know if you're familiar with the movie. It's The Man Who Invented Christmas. Did you see that one? And it's
I don't
telling
think so.
about, oh gosh, is it Charles Dickinson who wrote The Christmas Story with Scrooge? I could be wrong. I could be
I don't
wrong,
think I've
but
seen that
he's
movie.
writing the story and the
Mm-hmm.
characters become so real that they start like they come to they become tangible to
Mm-hmm.
him. And they
Yeah.
start speaking to him and they're telling him how they want it written. And I feel that whenever you write for a character and you really do give them texture and give them
Mm-hmm.
personality, they do become very tangible in your mind because
Yeah.
they take on their own personality.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
do you kind of
Definitely.
feel like that when it comes to Luke and Laura, like they
Yeah,
and
for
the other
sure.
characters that
For
come
sure.
with them?
Yeah, a handful of them are like that for me now. Um, yeah, because if you go back in my blog, you could see early on that the writing is not as, you know, intense. It's not as long. It's not as, you know, well put together. Because I'm just trying to get down what I feel like
Yeah.
they're they who they are and what they're doing and everything. So yeah.
Wow. Wow, I love that. And where do your storylines come from? Where are these ideas coming from? Is it
My
from people
imagination.
watching or TV
I
or
I mean, I take a lot of inspiration from real life TV, or yeah, crazy ideas that pop in my head. Um, a lot of my characters are blended from people I've known or people
Yes.
I've characters I've seen on TV, stuff like that. You know.
I love that. I love that. Now, I do want to get into some questions about your cast.
Okay.
I really, really do. One of my main questions, because Luke and Laura have a very passionate relationship. And when you had this new episode and they had broke up, they had divorced, it was revealed. And I can't really say just like the new episode, it was within like this current
Right.
season, like
Right.
within April and so forth. And even
Mhm.
prior to, I do believe is when the breakup happened. It was still understandable because they've always had a passionate relationship that kind of could be rocky at times.
Mhm.
So, but in the same hand, it was still kind of shocking because you felt like this was going to be a forever couple because they, like you said earlier, they're a powerhouse couple. I see that Luke also shares that with Rufus. So was that, it may not be as intense, but they still have some fire there. Was that hard as far as making a decision to separate him from Rufus so that Laura could
Um,
be the one that he's with?
when I first got Luke, and I first tried to pair him with a doll, my first choice was Rufus.
Okay.
Uh, she was my first choice for him, but I didn't feel like they had that click. You know, I didn't. There was like no sparks flying for me. But when I took pictures of him and Laura um, together, and I put them, actually, I had just put him with her because she was always I got her first, and she was like I liked her a lot. She was one of my favorite Barbie basics back when they came out. And so I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, let me see what he looks like with her, you know? And so as soon as I put them together, I was like, oh my God. So I went to go take photos, and then everyone on Flickr was like, oh my God, they're so cool. They're so hot together. And I was like, I know.
They are. They are. And I love that they have that, like, he's had a much more wayward life. He's had like a lot go on in his life, and it's not saying that she hasn't, but she's been more sheltered than he is.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense, that they have this opposite attraction.
Mm-hmm.
And your most recent, I want to say your most recent episode, Rufus. No, this was the April one. I'm incorrect. It was the April one where they were speaking, and he said it would never work because we're so much the same, and they really are. Only I think that she's
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more conniving and cutthroat.
Yes.
than Luke is. I don't,
they're
Luke isn't.
too headstrong
Yes.
for each other, and so yeah, that would
Yes.
that to me would be the ultimate reason why they're always going to fight for dominance in the relationship.
I can definitely see that. I can definitely see that. When it comes to the young lady that we see from high school, that's also his neighbor. I can't think of her name right now. I'm trying to
Naomi,
think.
yeah.
Naomi, yes, and I should remember that. Yes, Naomi, because it's a Bible. It's one of the Bible, the biblical names of the Bible, Naomi and Ruth. And then on top of that, there's this little girl that was in daycare when I used to work there, and I used to love her, and her name was Naomi. So yes, so Naomi.
Yes.
All right, will we be seeing her again, or was that just like
well,
a high school crush
you do see
thing?
her actually. If you go further back in this series, you see her
Okay.
as an adult.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You see her as an adult.
I thought I did. Okay.
She kind of is a like surprise visit, and she's another reason there's a bit of a rift with Luke and Laura at the beginning of this series.
Oh,
It's
I gotta go back. I gotta
not
go
a
back. I felt
major
like I had
rift, but yeah, it's very early on in the series.
Okay.
So you got to go back to like 2019 because
Okay.
when I started this series, I started it in 2019 of January.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it's taken me years to get through because of some Instagram drama and then writer's block, and then we had, the 2020 happen and all that stuff.
All right.
So, and I had
Still
two kids
stuck with the
graduate since
2020.
then. I have had two
Oh
kids
my goodness.
graduate since then, and life has changed a lot. So,
Yeah.
it's taken me forever to get through this series. I think this series has been the longest one to get through, and it's also because it's been the hardest for me because I'm always like, I gotta up my game. I gotta figure out a way to switch the storyline up to where no one's gonna expect to see what's coming, and so it's taken me time to come up with those ideas and to get inspired and figure it out,
Well, it's definitely changing the game. I am enjoying. I don't think it's so much about being able to produce content, every day. If people are able to do that and have awesome ideas with it, I say do it. But,
That's hard.
for some of us, life, life is happening. And so you have to be able to roll with the punches. But if you're able to, really push yourself to have that, those pivotal moments, that's what really matters, having those pivotal moments in your writing. Now, was it hard for you when you had to have the divorce between Luke and Laura? Because I have some characters I don't want to have them separate, so I imagine it may have been kind of hard.
I would say my better writing comes from doing things I don't want to do.
Ooh, that was good.
Definitely.
Repeat that one again.
Because when I can feel their pain, their emotion, I feel like more comes out of me when I can really draw from their characters in that way. Because,
wow.
What's a good drama without drama? So you've got to, do some of the painful stuff sometimes.
That was really good. Yeah. I like that. I do. Yeah. I like that. My better writing comes from doing the things I don't want to do. Because I often talk about a story that I'm still writing where I have to have, there's some things that just has to happen. And I know that this young character would have to be killed off in my story. And I have not done it. And I think I started the story. It's a play. I started it before I met my husband, and we met in 2007 and married in 2008. So that's been years. I haven't done it, and that's just because I don't want to. I'm like, I don't want to do it, but I know that it has to happen. So I see that with your story is that you definitely Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
gotta
push those
know if
boundaries.
it's good for the
That's
story
good.
or not. When you're talking about a character that needs to die, when I wrote the Peter and Willow story, I don't know if you've read that one.
Yes. Yes.
The series that I wrote back, I was at 2017 or something, somewhere around there, between 2015 and 2017, I think. And I wrote that whole saga in that summer. That summer, oh my God, that summer was crazy. I originally, I didn't really want Peter to be tied down. I really liked his character as being like the the way he was.
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. I'm a
Um,
player.
so
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
and I liked him with Willow because the reason I put him with Willow, I was inspired by a music video from Bush. Um,
Okay.
it was the Letting the Cable Sleep music video. And I was inspired by the way the girl looked. And I was like, Gavin kind of looks like Peter. And I'm like, I could do photos of this. So I took photos of them together, and it was just fun little photos I took. And from there on, I really liked the way they looked together. And
Hmm.
she just kind of rolled into this girlfriend figure for him. And then, but I really liked his waywardness, and he would, mess around with other girls. He was very,
Yes, you did.
involved with Hannah from Bull Tavern. And,
Hmm.
he was just afraid of commitment, right? And so I thought about killing her character off because this might sound morbid, but I really wanted to build a coffin and just put some doll inside it and have a funeral. And and I was fascinated with that idea, and that's why I kind of started the storyline for Peter and Willow. But it kind of just rolled into something else, and it changed and it morphed. And I literally wrote the story, um, and I was gonna have Willow die in Peter's arms.
Wow.
And,
No,
and
I didn't know that.
I sent the story over to a friend that I needed an opinion on it, and she called me back crying on the phone and was like, "Oh my
Oh.
God, that's so sad." And I was like, I don't know. And I thought about it. I was like, if she dies, I don't think Peter's going to be that fun, loving, pot smoking guy
That's
that
true.
he is,
That's true.
and his character is going to be really come dark and sad. And I was
That
like,
is
I
true.
don't think I want him to go that direction because of the way the storyline was already flowing. So I rewrote it and changed it up. And then, so Willow didn't die, of course. But yeah,
I think did she have that? Is that when she had the miscarriage?
no, was
Was that,
that was in this series,
that was
the
in the series?
miscarriage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, and I love how you just said that as far as like thinking it out, like how are the other characters going to be affected? Because if he
Mm-hmm.
just kind of kept going with being fun-loving and a pot smoker and, having multiple girls and just doing things the way that he wants, it would almost show some type of coldness that he's not, he has like no kind of attention or he's not in
Mm-hmm.
touch with his emotions.
Yeah.
So he would
I
have to be affected.
yeah. Um. But I just didn't want him to change into this really dark, gloomy character, and I was like, no, that's not him. And so, um, I couldn't do that. But I knew at the same time I didn't want them to be like cookie cutter couple to Luke and Laura, So I was like,
Yes.
they have to be different. So, um,
So what is your secret to keeping your characters separate where they don't become cookie cutter or they're not mimicking another couple or family in your storyline?
well, years ago I started like on my blog. There's like small bios for each doll,
Yes.
and I started out and it's good for me too because sometimes I forget, like especially if it's a character that I don't have a lot of history with or that have not written a lot about. It helps me understand like, I just put their basics down, like if they're married, if they have children, um, if they have a career, and kind of like a little synopsis about them. Just helps me remember what kind of character they are when I first created them. So I can always go back and reference that and be like, oh yeah, okay, I remember now this character was doing that, or, married to this person, or whatever. So
That's good. That's
yeah,
good. I like that. I like that.
that's
And
about the
I try my
only
best to have a
organized
bio
thing I've
too.
done.
It's a lot, though. It is. It is. And like you said, you can always go back and reference it to kind of let you know
Yeah.
who's who.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to know about, is it Lucien Bourgeois? Is it Bourgeois?
Lucien
Is that how he says his
Lucien
last name?
Boisseau. Lucien Boisseau.
Lucien Brasseau.
Boisseau.
Brasseau. Say it one more time.
Lucien Boisseau. He's right
Brasseau.
here.
And then his sister is Madame
Um,
Brasseau. And
it's
where did they get their names? And how did they come about? Yes.
um,
I have something
they
for that character. I love that doll face. Like,
yeah, he really came alive for me. Him and his sister. But I got inspired by them because if you go way back in my blog 10 years ago, in um it's about 10 years ago, I think. Yeah,
okay.
somewhere around there. Um
Okay.
Rufus goes to a psychic medium to get help. Her name is
Okay, she brought this
Madame
up.
Boisseau.
Madame
Madame Boisseau.
Brasseau. Okay.
And she's their mother.
Oh,
So they're a
okay.
family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, 'cause
So
she brought up about the chain and what was said to
uh-huh.
her, and I was like, I don't remember.
Yeah,
I
you
gotta go
have to
back
go
10 years. Okay.
way back in the blog, because
Okay.
she gets that um yeah, she takes that chain to her to try to, tell. She wants to know if her and Luke are meant to be together, and stuff like that. And um that uh she's pregnant at the time, but she doesn't want to tell anyone and all that stuff. So that was a fun one to write. But I figured it would be fun to just kind of bring that all in, because and tie in Rufus and you know the whole, like voodoo stuff that was very popular in New Orleans, and very,
Yes.
so that was fun.
And I love how you have him talking
Yeah,
because his
that was hard.
really, really big. Yes, I'm so big on dialect. Like if you're gonna put dialect in, you're gonna have Southern dialect or anything of that nature. Being able to see that written as well,
Hmm.
because it's not going to look the same
Yeah,
as
it's hard. I had to do a lot of
yes,
research, and I still don't feel like I did enough to research, the Cajun Creole dialect, because it can be so different depending on what area you live in
yes.
over there, and so yeah, but I tried my best.
Well, I do not personally know a lot about the dialects, but in my opinion, I feel that you did a good job. Now, if somebody's from that area, they can kind of let
Yeah,
us know more.
yeah, yeah,
But I love that you switched it up.
yeah.
You didn't just keep it the same where we're reading it and everything looks the same. Just like whenever you have a toddler in your storyline, when Phineas and,
Hmm.
and when Phineas and Phoenix were young and they would speak,
Right.
you would have the words be different. It wouldn't just be
Yeah,
that. It would be like wet, because
yeah,
that's how a toddler speaks. They're not going to
right, exactly.
enunciate
Yeah.
everything as properly as we would
Hmm.
as an adult.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, bravo on that. I enjoyed it. I'm enjoying this series. I enjoy all of them. I enjoy all of them. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy all of it. I
This
love you as
series
a
is
writer.
wrapping up this month. I will finally
It
finish the
is.
storyline. Yes. The last episode
It is.
will
It is.
be posted on Patreon. So,
On Patreon. So,
well,
guys, she does have
yeah,
a Patreon account.
it'll be posted on Patreon this month, but
Okay.
it'll be posted to the blog next month. Yeah, this month will
Now,
be
how can someone become a Patreon member?
they can go to the link either on my 16th Avenue page, or on the Boys of 16th Avenue. Yeah, and it's $1 just to join for the new episodes, and then
Only a
$5 if
dollar.
you want I'm remastering and redoing old episodes, and that's taken a
Okay.
lot go through it, and at the same time, I'm trying to organize all my photos, organize them into seasons, series, and everything, and it's just so much work. So
I understand.
it's
I
going,
get
it's
it because
going.
I imagine it because I haven't done it, so I imagine it. It took me a lot of work. One of the questions that I do have when we look at this last episode, and you have, say his name again, Lucien.
Lucian.
Lucien.
Lucian.
There we go.
I think you
Lucien.
can say it either way.
Okay.
Yeah, Lucian.
Lucien, he's taking him to these different places in his life. Now, some of these were posts that you already had, or I should say photos you had already posted. How did you do that? Did you have to go back and recreate those photos? Or did you just copy paste them in? How did you do that?
I took the photos in between taking the photos for that episode back when I originally did the episode. Yeah, I would take the photos in. Yeah.
I love that. So you already had in your mind, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so good. So good. Because I didn't know. I was like, did she have to go back and recreate all of this?
No, I was like, I thought about that. I was like, I better take them now because I like if I'm gonna do this type of storyline, and it's not.
And
that's another reason why I
needed
multiple looks, because I was like, I need multiple looks to be able to do all these scenes. So, yeah.
Yes. I love the factor being like when you had Luke in the bed, and yet Luke is standing up talking to Lucien, and he's in this lucid dream, and you still see him in the bed.
Yeah.
So I was like, how did she do that? But then I remembered, of course, that you have multiple Lukes, and so you were able to do that. But that was just so creative. I give you a full applaud. This last episode was just so mind-bending. I was like, what? Because I really thought that everything was just kind of sealed in stone. It's over, they're no longer together, and the whole motorcycle accident, just everything. But now it's like, oh, okay, he can actually change all this depending on what his decision is. Mm-hmm. So that was amazing, because I shared with you personally, I was like, I love certain storylines whenever, when people get a chance to kind of review life and see what their purpose is, I get inspired by that personally. So
well,
I
like
that.
Quite a few movies out there like that. And so I was
but it's always done really different.
Fun,
Yeah.
I had someone mention to me a year or two ago when I first introduced the future episodes. They told me it reminded them of a TV show called This Is Us.
Yes, I never watched it, but I did see the previews.
Yeah, it's like they were asking me did you get this idea from that TV show? And I was like, what TV show? I was like, I've never seen it. And then my husband and I started watching it some months ago, on Netflix, and I was like, oh yeah. It's like I could see why they thought that.
Is it good?
We didn't finish watching it too much. We watched maybe the first season and then maybe half of the second season because we got distracted with other shows. But yeah, I mean, basically it was it was kind of like with Luke and Laura. It was, they showed the parents young with their children, and then they showed the future where the children were adults and the parents were older, and and they would tell these stories in between, how they would link together, and it was very similar to what I was doing with the dolls. And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah.
Well, maybe they got the idea
how
from
they
you.
thought that.
Well, maybe they got the idea from you, because you were doing this way before the This Is Us.
I don't think so, but yeah.
I don't know. We'd be surprised what eyes are really looking on our pages. So I don't know, but I haven't seen, my husband and I, we have our 10 kids, so we're watching Pixar, DreamWorks, Disney.
Yeah.
Lots of cartoons or family series. Actually, I can't even say series because we really haven't committed to any series. So I didn't get a chance to see This Is Us. Maybe maybe in about 5 years.
It's a TV show. I think it was It's not, they don't show it anymore, but it was on some years ago.
Yeah,
And
yes, because I
yeah,
remember
you could
seeing the
stream it.
previews, you know,
Yeah.
in between it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But we'll see. We will see. That's why I do better keeping up with your story. I can go right to my phone, go on your blog, and just like catch up with what you have.
Yeah.
It's a little bit harder to do it with
There's
other
a
stuff.
page on the blog where you can go to like I'm trying to work all the seasons with direct links, so you can go straight all the way back to the very beginning and just read from there. So it's a
Yes.
page on
Okay.
there that you can go to, just like there's a page with the bios and everything, so you can read about all the characters.
Yes. Yes. So I hope everybody's listening because everything on there is structured so that you can be able to keep up with what's in the past, with the past episodes,
Yeah, because
past
with the
seasons,
way Blogger
and what's
works,
going
it's
on
very
now.
confusing. You know how it only shows you the latest and it goes backwards. So a lot of people want to read from the beginning. So you got to go to that other page where it'll link you to the beginning, and then you can just read from there on
And
forward.
your beginning episodes, I know that you said that, you know, a lot has changed in how you did your writing then. And of course, now you're more familiar
Mm-hmm.
with your characters and their personalities and how they respond to things compared to when you first began. But to me, like when I first was involved with reading your blog and I had went back into different episodes, I still feel like you had very intricate and detailed presentations of who your characters were, as far as, and I'm thinking in my mind just like when Luke wasn't at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of how detailed your dioramas were then. I'm thinking of Michelle and her journey. As far as in the relationship and just how much that she had her sister's back in the situation with Rufus. I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking of oh my gosh, how can I even forget her? She's Cynthia. Oh my goodness, Cynthia is a humdinger.
She's a wild one.
She is a wild one. So when I first, you know, was introduced to your account and Luke had some issues with his mom, Cynthia, I was like, why is that? But then when I went back into the blog, I was like, oh, I can see why. Like
Yeah.
Cynthia is definitely a wild card.
Yes, she
Will we
is.
be seeing more of Cynthia and his dad and his half brother?
Um, I don't know. I'm sure we will, but how? I don't know. I
Mm,
do have some
I like that.
tentative ideas of what I want to do after I wrap up this series, but I haven't quite thought it through yet. I'm just kind of like ready to get through this one so I can say it's finally done.
I get
It's
it.
been
I
it's
get
been
it.
very
I do.
frustrating. It's been very frustrating. It's been
What do you
very
think has been the
fun, but it's
frustrating
been
part of it?
frustrating. Um, I think the fact that it was just so much in depth with the storyline, and there were dioramas I needed built. There
Mm,
were dolls I needed to customize. You know, a lot of pictures to be taken. It was just
yeah.
this series was just like took a lot out of me for sure, and it took me a long time to get through it because of that, because of life and because I always have to push myself harder to do something more over the top than what I did before. So I'm thinking now, I'm like, oh God, what am I gonna do next? I don't know.
Don't worry, they'll let you know. They're like, this is what we're gonna do next. I love that motel though. That motel is it looks great.
Yeah,
I personally believe you did
that
an
was another
excellent job.
diorama I needed to build for this series. So yeah,
Yeah. It looks great. It looks
yeah.
great. You did a great job on that. But
Hmm.
I imagine, you know, being able to, you know, well, having to have all of those dioramas built by hand is one thing, and then also space. Are you going to be keeping all those dioramas, or do you have to take those back down?
All my dioramas are pretty much set up permanently because I don't have the
Okay.
time to take them down and store them away because that's too much work. Otherwise, it would take
Yeah.
me forever to get photos done, set up all those details and everything. Yeah.
I'm
But I have
loving this
toyed
one.
with
Yeah.
scaling down some stuff because now it gets overwhelming. But I'm just like,
Mm.
I don't know if I should continue working on the dollhouse for Michelle and Benjamin, because I'm like, I haven't even finished this dollhouse. So we'll see. I It's just all depends on like storyline and everything, because I have dabbled in thinking about doing more storyline with Michelle and Benjamin, but then again, I'm like, I don't know, do I want to? So it's, it's a
I guess it just depends on whose
struggle.
voice is speaking the strongest. Like if Michelle and Benjamin are, like you said, yapping in your head, then that's who.
Not as much as Luke and Laura, for sure. I would say the ones that yap in my head the most would be Luke, Laura, and Rufus.
Mm.
For sure. Yeah. But
So this is
I don't know.
not the end for Rufus. We do. I get an idea that this is not going to be the infamous Rufus.
No, Rufus will always be around, that's for sure. Yeah. But
Well, I know I was relieved to learn that, there is a possibility that he and Laura can be back together.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
not so stubborn.
Yeah, they're the center of it all. They really are. They're the center of it all.
Yeah,
So to
yeah.
have them not be together is
Hmm.
it's kind of hard to picture, but I love too that throughout the time that they've been together, from the time that, I think that were they like a blind date? I think
Hmm.
that's how they got together. Yeah, like with the blind date and then
Yeah,
having the apartment together, and just throughout you've shown that they haven't had this like perfect relationship. They've had
no.
arguments, they've had disagreements, the way that they've been raised is different. You know, it's been
Yeah,
it's been issues.
yeah. Oh,
So how are
yeah.
you able to do that? How are you
I
able
think,
to
well, when I first took the photos of Luke and Laura, that that inspired me for them. Um, I I think I just kind of rolled with it. Like, I didn't know a lot about them at that time, and so I was like, maybe they were set up on a blind date. And I remember I had referenced photos that I took of Laura with another character, Isolde, and I thought, you know what, she could be their mutual friend that introduced them. And then I was so in love with the dogs. I was like up all night taking photos of them together. And I took like I decided to make like bio photos for them. That was like one of the earliest things I
oh,
did after
oh wow.
those original photos. I took bio photos of them. I dressed them up, and um and it just kind of came to me like what kind of guy Luke would be, and that Laura would be more of that traditional Southern girl, and Luke was kind of the West Coast grunge guy, and um, they got introduced together and they hit it off, and that was kind of just where it started for me as their characters.
Yeah. And it works. It
Hmm.
works. It really, really does. So I'm definitely looking forward to what you have in store next. I know you said that you did some dusting and some ideas came. So
Yeah.
so I am looking forward to what is going to happen next. And I would definitely say having your dioramas up has been a plus, because just with this last couple of episodes, when you were able to kind of like transport him from one room to the next, like that works out great versus
Yeah.
having to like build everything up. So guys, if you have your dioramas up, there's so many different things that you could do, being able to have them up as far as whatever ideas, not the same idea, but being able to have those dioramas up, it does help if you have the space for it. And I love that his grandmother was present. Now, have we seen his grandmother before, or is this the first time?
He's only mentioned her
Okay,
to Laura.
so I didn't miss it.
No,
Okay,
yeah, I'd never shown her
good.
before. She was only mentioned a few times in older episodes. Um, so I thought that would be a great way, because being like the teenage angst kind of kid that he was, having something ripped from him at a young age,
Yeah.
you know, changing him, you know what I mean? And having that mother that he has. Um, I thought it would be a great way to introduce her into the story, because she's not with them anymore. So yeah, that's pretty much where I came to conclusions with that.
That was great. That really, really was. And I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to what's next in store for them. And, if we end up seeing Michelle more or seeing, Laura's parents and so forth, I'm really hoping that they get back together. But you've been definitely taking what is it? Like whenever you take the tablecloth off the table? You have been taking that tablecloth off of the table on us. So I don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
And Luke does seem to be a stubborn character. So I want to say that he's going to change his mind, but I have no clue. I literally have no clue. If anyone has any questions or comments, you're more than welcome to list it before we get off of here. I want to tell you thank you so much for giving me this time with you.
No, this
I have
was good. I
truly enjoyed it. I
It was
enjoyed it.
good.
I
It
really,
was
really
good.
have. I've been an admirer of your account for some time. When I first saw what you have, I didn't even know. Let me be honest with you. I didn't even know that we could make our dollhouses look that realistic until I saw your account. I was like, wow.
I I I know it's for me. It's just all about if it's real in in real life. I gotta find a way to make it look real in their scale. So
Yes, yes. And you have the working lights. You have a bathroom. I tell you what, guys, if you have not seen, I can't remember was it 2020 or was it 2021? You had the birthday party for Luke.
that
And I
was
believe
2020.
that's when
Yeah.
2020, and I believe that's when you showed the inside of the house and how you're able to open it. And I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, oh my goodness, like I was totally flabbergasted because I had never seen anything like that. And quite honestly, I still haven't.
Yeah.
It's very, very unique and
Well, I
so
didn't
creative.
originally know what I was gonna do. I had ended up buying a storage shelf at the thrift store to build their original little apartment they were in, and I built it with cardboard and everything, and it was really dark in there because I hadn't put lights in it yet, and it was kind of small. And I thought, I bet I can find bigger storage shelves if I go check like the hardware store. And I found those, and I was like, okay. Back then they were like $50 a shelf. Now they're $100 a shelf.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. But I thought this is perfect because I can cut into it. I can build stairs. I can attach walls to it, and basically gives me a structure without having to build my own structure. Um,
Mm,
so that's why I went that route.
I like that. And on top of that, you get such good
Yeah,
space. Like there's a good headspace
yeah,
between the ceiling and your doll's head. So it's not
hmm
like with some bookshelves that I've experienced, the
yeah.
head is
That
touching what would be
and
our
it's not
ceiling.
deep enough because bookshelves are only like 12 inches deep.
Oh, man.
So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. hmm
I fully agree. So yes, it looks great. Anyone has any questions? I do see a comment here. This is from Robin 2177. The blind date coffee shop scene was great. We have
Oh
some people
yeah.
saying hi to each other. My mother joined. Hello, mother. Robin B2177 said again, the motel is amazing and fits the storyline so well. Jackie said hi. Someone said, where are you from? Let's see here. We have someone else saying hi. Any questions or any comments? I was wondering about that too. So I can't remember what we were speaking about right then. Oh, it was about the flashbacks, about them being able to come back into the storyline,
hmm
Lucian and Luke
Yeah.
and the grandmother.
Yeah.
So that's what they were speaking about. That was a great story too. The dialect is what Robin B 2177 said. We have some emojis. She also said Peter's a mess. Peter is a mess. She
Yeah.
was Luke's first and vice versa, speaking about Naomi.
Yes.
Rufus. Villa Grana 473 said excellent diorama. I think we were IG with an angry face about the blog. Yes,
Oh
the
yeah.
vlog
Yeah.
with an emoji right there, the praise hands. Yes, Phoenix does. Oh, that he does look like like both of them
Yeah.
as far as being integrated. You did very good on both of them with Phineas and Phoenix, in my opinion, as far as aging them up. And then because of your doll, she says she now has 4 of them now because of
I have 6.
Robin B2177 said yes, he was always sexy though. And I do remember you had spoke briefly, it may have been during the Luke birthday, just as far as when you were younger, you had a crush on Johnny Depp. So when they produced that doll, you were like, I have my own Johnny Depp doll now.
I've always had a crush on Johnny Depp. But yeah.
Yes.
It was
yes,
just,
yes.
Something about that doll. When I brought him home and I got the smudges off his face, because the doll originally comes with a little bit of smudge, like he looks dirty, Captain Jack's always scrunchy.
It looks dirty.
And I got him out of those pirate clothes. And I took photos of him with Laura, and I was just like, oh my God, this doll is so freaking hot. I was like,
I remember you said you rebodied them, and yeah. And then you put your own tattoos on him instead of the tattoos that.
Yeah, I had swapped him to a body that already had a tattoo. It was the Harley Quinn body that came with a tattoo on the forearm.
Okay.
And then I had a friend on Flickr tell me that I could use the temporary tattoos you buy to put on your own skin to put on the dolls. And I was like, oh yeah. So I went crazy doing that for some years. But those never stay on completely. They fall off over time. And then I had another friend at a local doll show tell me about the decals and the solution to use.
Oh, really?
They use it in the 1/6 scale community on they use it on cars or action figures and things like that. And that's what I use now. So yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, see, I thought it was still with the temporary ones that we use on ourselves, but those do come off.
They do rub off over time.
Okay.
The ones I have now are water slide decals. There's an eBay seller that sells them, but you can also make your own. You can buy water decal slide paper.
Okay, I didn't know that.
You just got to make sure you scale the images the way you need them and stuff. But there's an eBay seller that makes them, and he makes them in different scales for different action figures. And then you got to buy the 2-part solution, which helps adhere and smooth the decal onto the surface of the doll body. And so,
yes, I'm going to have to look into that. Thank you for sharing. Yes.
I have a tutorial on YouTube on it that I posted many years ago on how to tattoo your doll.
Guys, we need to check that out. We do. I know I do. Because I have tattoos, and so I want to put tattoos on my dolls. I did one on one of my dolls. That's when I learned about the temporary tattoos not lasting. I was like, well, that's not going to work. Yeah. I haven't done it since then. But yes. So when we check out your tutorial, we are looking under the same name, correct?
YouTube
1/6 Avenue.
1/6 Avenue, yeah.
On 6th Avenue. So, guys, check that out with me. We're going to check out the tutorial for how to properly apply the tattoos and be able to keep it on. Because I really do. I want to be able to have tattoos on my dolls. Like I said, I have them. I'm not ashamed of it. I love my tattoos. And I want to be able to, I feel that kind of, brings out their personality even more as far as who's who. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Robin B.
He always struck me as
I'm sorry.
I was just saying, Luke always struck me as a tattoo guy. It just took me years to finally get him to the level that I wanted him to be at. Because the temporary tattoos are not as effective.
It doesn't have that same quality, and it doesn't. When I did it, it doesn't really show you as much detail. It looks kind of dull, and then it didn't last. Yeah, it didn't really last.
No.
So yes, and then now when you're putting, because you do have multiple dolls, so I do have to ask this before we get off, because you do have multiple versions of Luke, and he does have tattoos. So how are you? I imagine his younger one, of course, is not going to have as many tattoos, but with his older versions, what are you doing to make sure that you get it like in the exact same space or in the exact same spot, I should say?
I don't worry too much about too much detail as long as there's if it's not the same tattoo, at least something similar that's in the same place, because it's just most tattoos, like the ones on his arms are the same and a few like around his chest are the same, but there are a few others that are different because, you know, I don't want to have to go buy multiple sheets over and over again just to have the same exact one. But those sheets do have like it will have like 2 or 3 of the same tattoo in different sizes.
Okay.
So that works too. Just sometimes it might be a little bit bigger on, like some of them I think are a little larger on older Luke, which is fine because he's got a larger chest on that doll body anyways, because it's the Dumbledore. I think it's a.
Oh, yeah. Plus, on top of that, when you get older, your tattoos change.
Yeah.
They actually
they
do. Like my tattoos, and I go and I look at them, they're on my back. But when I look at them, I have someone, you know, when my husband or kids take a picture of it, and I look at the picture, I'm like, that is not what that tattoo started off like.
No, I know.
It has morphed. I have to go get it retouched one day. It does not look the same. So literally, you know, you get older, your skin changes, your weight changes. Yeah, it does. It looks different. The ink changes. So that does make sense that it's not going to be exactly the same. And on top of that, it may even move from the spot because, you know, as you age and so forth, you know, your skin is shifting. Causing that tattoo to shift.
That's true. Yeah. Yep. Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. So I didn't worry about it being exactly.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I didn't worry about it being perfect.
So well, when we say that, are you lining them up right next to each other to make sure that they're kind of similar, or are you just remembering like where?
Not too much. I just look and see where it is in the general area and just slap it on there. Because, like I said, the bodies are not all the same, so I've got to kind of just generalize because every single body that have tattoos is different.
That's true. Oh.
Because one's a made-to-move body, one is the collector Ken, and then the other one's the Dumbledore.
Oh, so that would.
So
that would definitely make a difference.
Yeah, so it can't be exact, but it's close enough. Yeah.
I like that. Thank you for that. This is a compliment to you. She said, I love my 16th Avenue clothes. That's Robin B 2177. She said the quality. Yes, quality.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there you go. Now, do you still sell clothes or?
I have not sold any clothes in a long time. I've thought about sewing some clothes again, but I haven't sewed in a while, so I need to practice again. You know, it's just like anything else.
Oh, goodness. I just had a conversation with my mom, and she said she was going to have to practice again. She started sewing when she was around 12, so I was like, it's in you. You got this.
Yeah, I know, but it's still, sometimes you just got to kind of get back into that rhythm and that mindset, because with sewing, if you make a mistake, you got to undo it all over again and redo it. And so, you know.
Yeah. You're right. That mindset.
Yeah.
I can definitely vibe with that.
I had plenty of evenings where I would be screaming at the sewing machine. My husband would be like, "What's wrong?"
I grew up with that.
I was like, "Don't worry about it. It's okay. I'm okay."
I have this ongoing joke that I do, and it's a little bit of a slight at my mother, but she used to wake me up at night, like. I finally went to sleep, you know, like a long day at school and doing homework and all this other stuff, chores, whatever. Finally get to sleep, but she would be like, you know, explicit. And then she'd be like, find my buttons. I had to get up at like 1 o'clock in the morning and go find these buttons that she has moved around the house. And usually I would find like notions, you know, like your thread, button, zipper, something like that in the bathroom. She probably set it on top of the toilet. Like she went to the bathroom and she put it there. Like somehow, and I would just pray. I was like, God, I gotta get back to sleep. I would just try to find it. So yeah, like, so now it's like an ongoing inside joke. Like when she's doing too much, I'm just like, find my buttons. That's what I grew up hearing. So yeah, I do. I get it. Sewing is
Yeah.
it's beautiful, especially with the end product, but the process of it
It's hard.
it can
It
be
is
rather,
hard.
yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is hard. That's why I'm in awe of people who make even more detailed clothes than I make, and I'm just like, how do they sit there and crunch out all this stuff? I'm like, oh my God, I can't do that. I was like, this is no way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very time consuming. But
It
I'm
is.
telling you, dude, like your work is amazing. Their work is amazing. Your work is amazing. So, if it happens again, I'm definitely here for it.
Yeah.
Uh, I am. And, now that I've got my Barbie space with my girls, I feel that I'm in a better place as far as being able to keep up with clothes. So whenever you get back into it, I'm definitely going to, I definitely want to support. Robin B. 2177 said naturally talented, which you are, and your building skills are absolutely amazing, and they are. And we have a hi over here. Anyone else have anything to say? We have a few highs. Hi, sis. Luke with hearts, and a whole bunch more highs and hays. So, guys, we thank you so much for being with us. I'm going to go ahead and my mom laughed. She said, ha ha. I was probably about to find my buttons. I love Johnny too, is what someone had said. And that was Robin again. Thank you guys. And he looks amazing with tattoos for sure. Dolls for Moe, I do believe. Thank you for joining. So, guys, we thank you guys for joining. This was definitely a fun live. I thank you for being with me
Thank you
and
for
just
having me.
sharing your
This
journey
was
with
good.
us.
I needed this to, push through a little more.
I needed
It's been
this
hard.
too. I needed this too. I really, really do. I really, really did. For me, I think sometimes, because, life gets busy,
Hmm.
life gets complex. And so I get kind of frustrated within myself because I'm wanting my story to move faster.
Hmm.
Because you have the ideas in there, and so
Yeah.
I'm wanting
Yeah.
to produce those ideas and make it tangible.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is taking too long. And then I get
I
myself kind of
know.
frustrated on the
It's like
inside.
if I could just
And
have a
so I'm
little bit of time to myself. It's like just a little bit.
a little, it's right. And then you get that little bit of time, like you're trying to get all the
Yeah.
little things together, like,
Hmm.
get them with their clothes on and get their hair
Hmm.
together and this and that little bit of time, like,
Hmm. And then as
it,
soon as you get it, it's like you get a phone call or you get someone needing something or they can't find something and it's like
oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. In our case, it's like cooking, or someone's telling on someone, or
hmm.
yeah, can I get a snack? Can we do this? This person did this. This person's jumping
Hmm.
off of here. This person, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. Life happens, but I feel very inspired that I understand you're saying it has taken a long time to be able to get through this season
Yeah.
that you're writing, but for me, it was inspiring and encouraging as far as don't rush the process. Let it
Yeah,
happen
definitely. Definitely
because
don't rush it.
yes, because like if you had rushed it and just felt like I'm just going to close this off right now and just start a whole new season, would we have the previous episodes that you just wrote? Would it be like it is right now?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah.
It would have probably gone a whole different direction. So, yeah, yeah, you just got to give the story time to naturally, unless you have something solid that you already know. A lot of times, it's easier to know the end, so you can work backwards. You know, if you
Mm,
know the end
yes.
result, you can work backwards. But sometimes you don't know the end result. Like I didn't know what the end result would be of this series, so that was really hard. But I think often I find myself working the opposite. I work with just on a whim, like, oh, I like this, and I just go with it, and I just let the characters tell me what they want to do. That's usually how my
Mm,
stories flow. That's usually how it goes.
I like that. I like that. Well, we're definitely gonna be chatting again. Anyways, we chat anyways through our texts. So
Yeah.
you guys have a really good evening. I thank you again so much for being with me today. I'm looking forward to what's happening next. Guys, keep up with her on her blog. Like we said, it's the Boys of 16th Avenue. There are underscores underneath, so it's like the underscore boys underscore of underscore. Oh my goodness, 16th Avenue. There we
Yes.
go. I was like, I
I
got
know it's a
lost with
long
the
one.
underscores in my mind.
I
I'm
know.
sorry. They're like, if I had it right here, I probably would have been okay. But I was retrieving it from my mind. So, guys, remember, keep up with the blog. Follow her page. Be a subscriber. She has the Patreon. Only $1. Join so you can also get a chance to see those sneak peeks of what those other episodes are. They
Mm-hmm.
are amazing. You are definitely not going to regret it. Thank you again. We'll be keeping in touch with each other. And you
Yes,
have a
for
really
sure.
good evening.
You too.
Bye, sis.
Bye.
I'll talk to you
Bye.
later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.